caught my wife cheating with my friend and filed for divorce. Then she demanded alimony, claiming I mistreated her and bribed my family to testify against me in court. But she got nothing when the judge saw through her lies. Look, I'll try to keep this as straightforward as possible, but Jesus Christ, what a fucking mess this turned into. Been working the oil fields in West Texas for 8 years now, busting my ass on 14-day rotations in the Permian Basin, and I thought I had my life figured out. Good job as field operations supervisor, decent house in Midland, wife who seemed happy enough selling real estate to oil workers and their families. Everything looked solid from the outside. A few months back, I filed for divorce from my ex-wife Brittany after catching her red-handed with one of my drilling crew buddies, Cole Martinez. Didn't need some private investigator or any of that Hollywood detective bullshit. Just came home 3 days early from a brutal rotation up near the New Mexico border. We'd been dealing with equipment failures on Rig 7, working 20-hour days trying to get production back online, and I was dead tired. All I wanted was a hot shower and my own bed. Instead, I got the shock of my fucking life. There they were, in my own damn bed. The bed I'd been paying for with 14-hour shifts in 100-degree heat, dealing with roughnecks and equipment breakdowns, and the constant pressure to keep oil flowing. Cole Martinez, guy I'd known for 3 years, worked alongside him countless times, trusted him with my life on dangerous rigs, was screwing my wife in the house I was busting my back to pay for. The look on their faces when I walked through that bedroom door, priceless. Pure panic, like deer caught in headlights. Brittany started stammering some bullshit excuse about how it wasn't what it looked like. But come on. They were both naked, and it was pretty fucking obvious what was happening. Cole at least had the decency to look ashamed, grabbed his clothes, and got the hell out without trying to make excuses. Smart move, because I was seeing red and probably would have done something I'd regret if he'd tried to justify it. Brittany, though? She went straight into damage control mode. Started crying, begging me to listen, saying it was a mistake and she was confused and it would never happen again. All the standard cheater playbook moves, but I was done. 8 years of marriage, 6 years together before that. And this is what I get? My own crew member in my own house while I'm out working to support both of us? Filed the divorce papers within 3 days. Went straight to Steve Hartman, this tough-as-nails lawyer who handles a lot of oil field cases. Steve took one look at the situation and said, "This should be straightforward. Adultery's still adultery in Texas, and you've got grounds for a clean divorce. Should have been clean and simple, right? Wrong." Brittany started demanding an insane amount of alimony, claiming I'd been mistreating her throughout our marriage. Said I was emotionally abusive, financially controlling, that I'd isolated her from friends and family. Complete horseshit. I'd been nothing but good to that woman, worked 70-hour weeks so she could pursue her real estate career part-time, supported her when she wanted to redecorate the house, never complained when she spent money on clothes or girls' nights out. We'd been married 6 years total, living together for 2 years before that. I make decent money, $85,000 managing drilling operations and supervising crews, but she wasn't exactly struggling either. Real estate in Midland's been booming thanks to the oil industry. She was pulling in maybe 60 grand a year, showing houses to oil workers' families. And that's working maybe 20 hours a week when she felt like it. But even with her own income, she wanted alimony, said she deserved compensation for everything she'd been through. Everything she'd been through, the woman cheated on me with my own crew member while I was killing myself, keeping food on our table and a roof over our heads. The legal proceedings started getting complicated fast. In Texas, you've got to prove your case, even with adultery. It was basically her word against mine about the emotional abuse allegations. She claimed I was controlling about money, that I monitored her spending, that I made her feel like she had to ask permission for everything. Total fabrication. I handled the bills because I'm good with numbers and she hated dealing with paperwork. She had her own checking account, her own credit cards. Never once did I tell her she couldn't buy something or go somewhere. Hell, I encouraged her real estate career, even though it meant she was out showing houses to strangers at all hours. But family court judges hear sob stories every day, and some of them are true. Steve warned me that without concrete proof of her lies, things could go either way. Texas is still a community property state, he said, and if she can make the abuse claim stick, you could be looking at significant alimony payments. That's when Brittany decided to get really creative with her strategy. See, she knew all about my complicated relationship with my family. I'd told her everything in confidence over the years, like married couples are supposed to do. Shared all the details about why things had gotten strained between me and my parents, Roy and Linda, and my older sister, Dana. My folks are both retired from the Exxon refinery over in Odessa. Dad worked maintenance for 30 years. Mom did administrative work. Dana teaches elementary school, been divorced for 3 years now, and living back home with the parents. None of them ever made the kind of money I pull in the oil fields, and that became a problem. For the first few years after I started making real money in the oil patch, things were fine with my family. We'd get together for holidays, barbecues, the usual family stuff. But gradually I started noticing a pattern. Every conversation somehow turned to money problems. It started innocent enough. "Hey Wade, you think you could help out with Mom's car payment this month? The transmission's acting up and we're a little tight until Dad's pension check comes in." Or, "Dana's having trouble making rent since the divorce. Could you maybe loan her a few hundred just until she gets back on her feet?" At first I was happy to help. Family's family, right? And I was making good money, more than I'd ever dreamed of growing up. Seemed selfish not to share it when they were struggling. Mom and Dad had raised me, put me through school, supported me when I was finding my way in the world. Dana had always been there for me growing up, helped me with homework, covered for me when I got in trouble. So I'd write the checks, 500 here, 1,000 there. Always temporary, always just until they got back on their feet. "We'll pay you back as soon as things turn around," they'd promise. But somehow, things never quite turned around. The requests started coming more frequently. Every other week, then every week. Sometimes it was Mom calling, crying about the electric bill being past due. Sometimes Dad would show up at my house, hat in hand, talking about how the truck needed repairs and he didn't have money for parts. Dana would text me sob stories about her ex-husband not paying child support and her needing grocery money, and I kept saying yes. Partly out of guilt. They were my family, and I was doing better than them financially, but mostly because saying no felt impossible. They'd perfected this routine where they'd start by asking for help. Then, when I hesitated, they'd launch into how hard things were for them, how they never asked for much, how family was supposed to help family. The guilt trips were masterful. "We never had much growing up, but we always made sure you had what you needed," Mom would say. "Now that you're successful, we're not asking for charity, just a little help until we get through this rough patch." Rough patch. That rough patch lasted 3 years. By the time Brittany and I were talking about maybe starting a family, I was sending my parents and sister close to $2,000 a month. $2,000 that should have been going into savings for a house down payment, or a college fund for future kids, or retirement planning. Instead, it was disappearing into their bottomless pit of financial emergencies. That's when I finally grew a spine and said enough was enough. The conversation happened over Sunday dinner at their house. Dad was talking about needing new tires for his truck, and before he could even ask, I cut him off. "Dad, I need to talk to all of you about something. I can't keep sending money every month. Brittany and I are planning to start a family soon, and I need to save for our future. This has to stop." The silence that followed was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop in that dining room. Dana was the first to speak. "What do you mean it has to stop? We're not asking for much, Wade. Just help when we really need it." "Every week isn't when you really need it," I said. "It's become a habit. And it's not fair to expect me to solve all your financial problems while I'm trying to build my own future." Mom started crying. "We never asked you for anything we didn't really need. The car payments, the electric bills, Dana's rent. These aren't luxuries, Wade. These are necessities." "Then maybe you need to figure out how to afford necessities without my help," I said. "I'm not being mean, but I can't be your personal bank account forever. You're all adults. You need to live within your means." That's when Dad got angry. "Live within our means? Easy for you to say when you're making oil field money. Some of us are trying to survive on retirement benefits and teacher salaries. We raised you, supported you, put you through school. This is how you repay us?" The guilt trip was in full swing, but I held firm. "You raised me because that was your job as parents. I appreciate it, but it doesn't mean I owe you money for the rest of my life. And I didn't put myself through school. I got scholarships and worked part-time jobs. You helped, but let's not rewrite history." The fight lasted 3 hours. Voices were raised, tears were shed, and ultimately nothing got resolved except that I made it clear I wouldn't be sending monthly checks anymore. They took it about as well as you'd expect. Over the next few weeks, I got angry phone calls, guilt-tripped text messages, even a visit from my aunt trying to convince me I was being selfish. But I stuck to my guns. The relationship never really recovered. Family gatherings became tense affairs. They'd be polite but cold, making little comments about how some people forget where they came from when they get successful. I'd show up for Christmas and birthdays, but the warmth was gone. We were going through the motions. By the time I caught Brittany cheating, my family and I were barely speaking. Maybe a phone call every few weeks, obligatory holiday visits, but nothing like we used to have. They resented me for cutting off their money supply, and I resented them for seeing me as nothing more than a walking ATM. Brittany knew all of this. I'd vented to her countless times about feeling used by my family, about how they'd change once I started making real money. She'd been sympathetic, supportive, told me I was doing the right thing by setting boundaries. So, when she decided to fight dirty in the divorce, she knew exactly where to strike. She reached out to my parents and sister behind my back, spinning some sob story about how I was the real villain in our marriage, told them I was controlling, emotionally abusive, that she'd been afraid to leave because I'd threatened to destroy her financially. Complete bullshit, but she knew exactly which buttons to push. See, my family was already primed to believe the worst about me. In their minds, I'd become this selfish, money-obsessed person who'd cut them off when they needed help most. They were bitter, resentful, and ready to hear that I was the same controlling asshole to my wife that I'd supposedly been to them. Brittany painted herself as another victim of my financial manipulation, said I monitored every penny she spent, made her account for every dollar, threatened to cut off her credit cards if she didn't obey me, told them I'd isolated her from her friends and family, that she'd been walking on eggshells for years because of my temper. None of it was true, but it confirmed what they already wanted to believe about me. The brilliant part of her strategy? She offered them money to testify on her behalf. Not a lot, maybe $1,000 each, but enough to make it worth their while. And she framed it as justice, not bribery. Wade's been financially abusive to all of us, she told them. This is our chance to make sure he faces consequences for his behavior. They ate it up. Roy, Linda, and Dana all agreed to testify against me in family court. They'd swear under oath that I was controlling, temperamental, that Brittany had confided in them about my abusive behavior over the years. I found out about their plan 3 days before the hearing. Steve Hartman's assistant called me at work, said we had a problem. Your family's been in touch with your wife's attorney. They're planning to testify against you. I was sitting in my truck outside Rig 12 when I got that call, eating a sandwich during my lunch break. The news hit me like a physical blow. My own family was going to lie under oath to help my cheating wife steal my money. What exactly are they claiming? I asked Steve when I got back to town. Emotional abuse, financial control, intimidation. They're saying your wife confided in them about your behavior throughout the marriage. It's coordinated testimony, Wade. They've all got the same talking points. The betrayal cut deeper than anything Brittany had done. She was my wife, and she'd betrayed me. But that was between us. This was my blood family choosing money over truth, choosing my cheating ex-wife over their own son and brother. The hearing was held at Midland County Courthouse on a Tuesday morning in October. Judge Patricia Hendricks presiding, a tough, no-nonsense woman who'd been on the family court bench for 15 years. She'd seen every trick in the book, heard every sob story, and had a reputation for cutting through bullshit. Steve and I sat at one table, Brittany and her lawyer at another. My family filed in looking uncomfortable but determined. They wouldn't meet my eyes as they took their seats in the gallery. Brittany's attorney, some slick guy named Patterson from a downtown firm, presented their case first. He painted me as a classic financial abuser, successful man who used his income to control and intimidate his wife. Made it sound like I was some kind of monster who'd systematically destroyed her self-esteem and independence. Then came the family testimony. Dad took the stand first, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth, then proceeded to lie through his teeth. Said Brittany had called him crying multiple times over the years, telling him I wouldn't let her spend money without permission. Claimed I'd cut them off financially as punishment for supporting her independence. Wade's always been controlling about money, he testified, even with his own family. When we needed help, he'd make us beg for it, then cut us off completely when we couldn't pay him back fast enough. Mom was next. She cried on the witness stand, talking about how worried she'd been about Brittany. She seemed so afraid of Wade's temper, Mom testified. She'd call me upset, saying he'd yelled at her for buying groceries without asking permission first. I told her she deserved better, but she was scared to leave. Dana's testimony was the most detailed. She claimed Brittany had confided in her regularly about my abusive behavior. Wade isolated her from her friends, she testified. He'd get angry if she went out without him, accused her of flirting with other men. She was terrified of his jealousy. All lies. Complete, coordinated fabrications. But they delivered their testimony convincingly, with tears and righteous anger. If I hadn't known better, I might have believed them myself. Steve did his best during cross-examination, but what could he do? They stuck to their story, claimed they were just trying to protect an abused woman from her controlling husband. When he pressed them about their financial relationship with me, they made it sound like I'd been using money as a weapon against them too. Wade cut us off completely when we couldn't be his puppet family anymore, Dana testified. He demanded complete obedience in exchange for help. When we started supporting Brittany's independence, he punished us financially. The manipulation was masterful. They'd taken the truth, that I'd stopped sending them money because they were bleeding me dry, and twisted it into evidence of my controlling nature. But Judge Hendricks wasn't buying it. I could see it in her expression as the testimony progressed, the skeptical tilt of her head when Dad claimed I'd made him beg for money. The raised eyebrow when Mom described phone calls that supposedly happened at times when phone records would show otherwise. The way she leaned back in her chair when Dana rattled off a list of specific incidents that sounded too rehearsed, too convenient. 15 years on the bench gives you a nose for coordinated lies. When Steve presented our defense, he kept it simple and factual. Bank records showing I'd never controlled Brittany's. Spending. Credit card statements proving she had her own accounts and used them freely. Phone records that contradicted the timeline of alleged crying calls to my family. Employment records from her real estate agency showing she'd missed work due to personal appointments that coincided with hotel stays Cole Martinez had paid for. Most damaging of all, Steve had done his homework on my family's finances. He presented evidence that all three of them had received identical payments of $1,000 from Brittany's account just 2 weeks before agreeing to testify. Same amount, same timing, from the woman they were supposedly trying to protect. Your Honor, Steve said during closing arguments, we're not dealing with concerned family members trying to protect an abused woman. We're dealing with coordinated perjury for financial gain. The defendant has systematically bribed Mr. Palmer's estranged family members to provide false testimony in exchange for cash payments. Judge Hendricks didn't even need to deliberate. She'd heard enough. I've been on this bench for 15 years, she said, looking directly at my family in the gallery. And I can recognize rehearsed testimony when I hear it. The identical phrasing, the convenient timeline, the sudden concern from family members who admittedly had no relationship with the alleged victim. Add the documented financial payments, and this court has serious concerns about the credibility of these witnesses. She turned to Brittany and her lawyer. Mrs. Palmer, your claims of financial abuse are contradicted by bank records showing you had independent access to funds throughout your marriage. Your claims of emotional abuse are supported only by witnesses who received financial compensation for their testimony. This court finds no credible evidence to support alimony claims based on abuse. The gavel came down. Brittany got exactly nothing in alimony, not 1 penny. The look on her face was priceless, pure shock, like she couldn't believe her carefully orchestrated plan had fallen apart. Her lawyer was already packing up his briefcase, probably calculating how much money he'd wasted on a losing case. But the best part? The look on my family's faces. They'd expected to walk out of that courtroom as heroes who had helped an abused woman get justice. Instead, they'd been publicly called out for perjury by a sitting judge. Their reputations were shot, their credibility destroyed, and they'd earned every bit of humiliation. It took another few weeks to finalize the divorce paperwork, but the hard part was over. I was free, financially intact, and legally vindicated. That should have been the end of it, but I wasn't done. See, around this time, I'd gotten promoted to senior field operations manager. The promotion came through right after the divorce hearing, actually. My supervisor, Bill Henderson, called me into his office the day after Judge Hendricks delivered her verdict. Wade, you've been putting in outstanding work these past few months. I know you've had personal stuff going on, but you haven't let it affect your performance. Corporate wants to move you up to senior operations, 20% pay bump, better benefits, oversight of 3 rigs instead of 1. The promotion meant I was pulling in just over $100,000 a year now, more money than I'd ever made, more than enough to live comfortably on my own. But more importantly, it meant I had the financial resources to do something I'd been thinking about since that courthouse humiliation. I wanted to teach them all a lesson they'd never forget. The idea came to me while I was sitting in my truck outside Rig 15, eating lunch and thinking about everything that had happened. My cheating ex-wife and my lying family had tried to destroy my reputation and steal my money through coordinated perjury. They'd failed, but they had walked away without consequences. That didn't sit right with me. So I called Steve Hartman and asked him a hypothetical question. If someone committed perjury in family court, and if someone else orchestrated and paid for that perjury, what kind of legal remedies might be available? Steve was quiet for a long moment. You talking about civil remedies or criminal charges? Civil, I said. I'm not looking to send anyone to prison. I'm looking to send a message. Emotional distress, defamation, conspiracy to commit fraud, he rattled off. All viable causes of action if you can prove coordination and malicious intent. The documented payments help establish the conspiracy element. What kind of numbers are we talking about? Depends on damages, lost wages, emotional trauma, reputational harm, plus punitive damages for willful misconduct. He paused. You really want to sue your own family, Wade? They stopped being my family when they took money to lie about me under oath, I said. They made their choice. Now, I'm making mine. 2 weeks later, I filed civil lawsuits against all 4 of them, Brittany, Roy, Linda, and Dana. $50,000 each for emotional distress, defamation, and conspiracy to commit fraud. In Brittany's case, I added malicious prosecution for orchestrating the whole scheme. The papers were served on a Friday afternoon. Brittany got hers at the real estate office where she worked. My parents and sister got theirs at home. I made sure they all received them on the same day at the same time, so they'd know this was coordinated and deliberate. Steve had drawn up the complaints beautifully. 20 pages of detailed allegations, supported by bank records, court transcripts, and documented evidence of their conspiracy. Professional, thorough, and absolutely devastating to read if you were on the receiving end. The response was immediate and panicked. My phone started ringing that evening, calls from Dad, from Mom, from Dana. All block numbers I'd programmed, into my phone months ago. They could call all they wanted. I wasn't answering. The voicemails they left were desperate. Pathetic even. Dad's voice shaking as he talked about how they were family and needed to work this out. Mom crying about how they couldn't afford lawyers, how this would bankrupt them in their retirement years. Dana alternating between anger and pleading, saying I was destroying innocent people and that she had kids to think about. Innocent people. That's rich coming from someone who'd committed perjury for $1,000. But Brittany, she wanted to fight. Had the resources to lawyer up with some downtown firm that specialized in defending civil suits. Her attorney filed motions to dismiss, claiming my suit was frivolous retaliation for a legitimate divorce proceeding. They argued that family court testimony was protected speech, that I couldn't sue people for exercising their right to participate in legal proceedings. Steve demolished those arguments in our response briefs. Protected speech doesn't cover perjury. Participation in legal proceedings doesn't include conspiracy to commit fraud. The bank records showing coordinated payments made their good faith testimony defense laughable. My family, though, they didn't have Brittany's resources. Dad called some cut-rate lawyer who took one look at the evidence and probably advised them to settle immediately. Mom and Dana couldn't even afford attorneys. They were representing themselves with legal aid clinic help. The lawsuits moved forward like a freight train. Steve and I were sharks in the water, and they were swimming with cement boots. Every discovery request revealed more damaging evidence. Every deposition showed how unprepared and panicked they were. During Roy's deposition, Steve asked him point blank about the $1,000 payment from Brittany. Dad stammered through some bullshit excuse about it being a gift to help with expenses. When Steve produced bank records showing the payment came the same day Dad agreed to testify, he could barely form coherent sentences. Linda's deposition was worse. She broke down crying when confronted with phone records that contradicted her testimony about Brittany's alleged crying calls. Admitted she might have been confused about dates, but insisted her testimony was truthful. Even the court reporter looked uncomfortable watching this elderly woman destroy herself on the record. Dana tried to play hardball during her deposition, claiming she'd been protecting an abused woman and wouldn't apologize for that. But when Steve showed her the timeline of payments and testimony coordination, her defiance crumbled. By the end, she was admitting she might have made mistakes in her recollection. The negotiation started about 6 weeks after we filed suit. Brittany's lawyer reached out first, proposing mediation to resolve this matter efficiently for all parties. Translation: they knew they were fucked and wanted to minimize damages. Steve set up a meeting at his office on a Wednesday afternoon. Brittany came with her attorney, looking like she'd aged 5 years and 2 months. My parents and Dana showed up with their legal aid lawyer, a young guy who looked like he was fresh out of law school and completely overwhelmed. The mediation lasted 4 hours. Brittany's team opened with an offer of $20,000 total, $5,000 from each defendant. A gesture of goodwill to put this matter behind everyone, her lawyer said. Steve didn't even dignify that with a response, just slid across a folder containing bank records, court transcripts, and deposition excerpts. Your clients committed coordinated perjury for money, he said calmly. The evidence is overwhelming. They can settle now for reasonable terms, or we can take this to trial and let a jury decide punitive damages. The legal aid lawyer looked sick as he reviewed our evidence. Whispered frantically to my parents and Dana, probably explaining how screwed they were if this went to trial. Brittany's attorney tried to negotiate, pointing out that I hadn't suffered quantifiable damages since the divorce court had ruled in my favor anyway. Steve shut that down immediately. Emotional distress, reputational harm, and legal fees are all quantifiable damages, plus punitive damages for willful misconduct. Your clients orchestrated a conspiracy to commit fraud. That's not a negotiating position, that's a confession. The offers kept climbing, $30,000, $50,000, $65,000. Each time, Steve would shake his head and remind them that trial was always an option. Finally, around hour 3, Dana cracked, started crying, talking about how she couldn't afford to lose her teaching job if this went to trial, how her kids needed stability. Asked if there was any way to settle that wouldn't bankrupt the family. That's when I knew we had them. The final settlement came together quickly after that. $80,000 total, split among all 4 defendants. Brittany paid $40,000, half the total, reflecting her role as the orchestrator. My parents paid $15,000 each, and Dana paid $10,000. The money was nice, but it wasn't really about the cash. It was about the principle, about showing them that actions have consequences, that you can't just screw over family because it's convenient. Most importantly, it was about respect. For years, they'd treated me like a walking ATM, then like a convenient villain when it suited their purposes. The lawsuit forced them to take me seriously, to understand that I wasn't the pushover they'd thought I was. The settlement agreements included non-disclosure clauses and admissions of wrongdoing. They had to acknowledge in writing that their testimony had been false and coordinated, not apologies, legal admissions that could be used against them if they ever tried similar. Stunts in the future. After the papers were signed, I thought that would be the end of it. Clean break, lesson learned, everyone moves on with their lives. But my family couldn't let it go. Dana showed up at my apartment 2 weeks later, alone this time. I was packing for another rotation, getting ready for 2 weeks of 14-hour days on Rig 23. Heard her knocking, but ignored it, hoping she'd give up and leave. She didn't. "Wade, I know you're in there," she called through the door. "We need to talk. This can't be how our family ends." Family. After everything they'd done, she was still playing the family card. I opened the door, not to invite her in, but to make something crystal clear. "We stopped being family when you took money to lie about me under oath," I said. "You made your choice. I made mine. The settlement's signed. The matter's closed. Don't come here again." She tried to push past me into the apartment, but I blocked her way. "Wade, please. Mom and Dad are devastated. The stress is killing them. Can't we find a way to move past this?" They should have thought about stress before they committed perjury for $1,000, I said. Actions have consequences, Dana. You all learned that the hard way. I closed the door and went back to packing. Haven't seen or spoken to any of them since. Life's good now. Yeah, it gets lonely sometimes, but I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who see me as a resource to exploit. Got my work, got my freedom, got my self-respect back. The oil fields are brutal, but they're honest. You work hard, you get paid, you slack off, you get fired. No manipulation, no guilt trips, no family drama, just pure cause and effect. That's all I ever wanted from the people in my life, honesty and respect. When they couldn't provide that, I found better ways to spend my time and energy. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well and cutting toxic people out of your life completely.